show contains mature and intense subject matter, themes, and language. The opinions contained herein are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend, especially during the game at the show's end. All of you who choose to continue, you have been warned, and welcome back.
What is up, everybody? I thought we lost somebody there. Oh, really? Mum, are you unfrozen now?
I'm back. I'm good now.
You're good. Happy days. Happy days. Yes, what is up, everybody? How are you all doing? We are.
I have to tell you, I just saw a thing that said, to be careful and you've been warned. So.
The first weapon on the show. This is awesome.
That's great. Yes.
That's not a knife.
That's not a knife.
This is a knife.
That's just a cheese knife. But no, what is up, everybody? We are extremely privileged to once again have Rick McCallum on with us tonight. I just want to say, Rick, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come back on. Not just once, but the second time is amazing. So thank you so much.
Well, Tom, you have to realize that I shagged a beautiful redhead out of here to hang out with you guys.
That's the truth. That's true.
We're even more privileged.
And she already had the stick when you showed up.
She was ready to go.
Yeah.
She had the stick. I had the.
Hey, there's a kink out there for everybody, man.
Someone's having a good time tonight.
Whatever floats your boat.
I guess so.
I don't have a boat.
Yeah. But if guys you don't know who Rick is, you might not know if you don't watch horror movies and stuff. But Rick you're a stunt man, you're a stunt coordinator, you're an actor, writer. You've pretty much done the works when it comes to horror or paranormal and stuff. You are well up there with some of the greatest people that have been actors, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I keep a low profile, so most people don't know. I mean, like, people go, "You were in that movie? I was the monster. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. You've been in over 70 movies, haven't you, over your time?
75 movies, roughly, and then probably another 20 live stream ghost hunts. A lot of stuff.
Not the odd one or two or anything. Not just a quick cameo appearance or anything.
I did a Clint Eastwood movie called J. Edgar, and I'm in there. If you blink, you won't catch me. Because I'm here like I machine gun a bunch of people, and that's it. I'm done.
Well, that's actually a good thing I was going to ask. Actually, who is the best actor you've ever worked with on stage?
The best actor?
As you to work with them, who would you say is like the best one you've worked with?
Well, the guy happens to be my best friend, but I'm not saying it for that because he and I might be, and Doug Jones might be the only ones that can really understand this. Kane Hodder, who plays Jason. He also plays Victor Crowley in the Hatchet movies. And people don't realize how hard it is to act without saying anything.
Yeah, and under all that makeup too.
Yeah, so everything has to be, the body movements. They have to be, all kinds of things. It's really hard to pull that off. Trying to hang up on this. I'm getting a phone call. So I would say Kane Hodder is the best because, I've done a lot of stuff. Like I played Dark Wolf. I played, different monsters. It's very hard to relay what you're trying to feel. They can't see your face move. You're not talking.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing that Kane did is when he's walking and he's like
the heavy breathing.
Yeah, you can see his chest.
It didn't look like you.
Yeah.
He does the head first, then the body follows kind of thing. He gave Jason his own language, like he took Jason and made it his own, and I think, and like Jeff's saying in the comments, Kane Hodder is the man, best Jason ever.
But
I think that's awesome too, because I actually wanted to ask you, Rick, do you have any embarrassing Kane stories that he wouldn't kill you for telling on air? That he wouldn't kill you for telling on air.
He's got his own picture. He's good.
Well, I got to tell you, there's a bunch of them, but you just killed it with the last part. Yes, you would kill me. I told you.
Let's go into the assumption he's never going to watch this. Kane, if you are watching, like and subscribe, I guess. Thank you.
Trust me, he would find out. Everybody wants to be his friend, and if they thought they had some juicy information,
that's fair. Okay, that's fair.
and then then you could actually film it. It'd be worth watching. Me and him scrapping.
I don't know if I would like that. I mean, I'd feel bad. I'm like,
it would be.
Kane's a legitimately tough dude. I mean, he's not one of the Hollywood tough dudes. I mean, he's the kind that'll rip your eyeball out and show it to your other eyeball.
A great documentary they did on him as well.
I know, I was in it.
I know.
Actually, I kind of got mad in there. I don't know if you noticed that. They said something about, and then, people were giving him jobs, and I went, hey, nobody gave him anything. He worked his ass off for everything he got.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. They're like, okay.
And that's
it with your career as well. Like you grafted to get to where you are. It's not something that's like fell into your lap or anything. You've had to work hard as a stuntman to get to the movies that you've got into.
Well, you have to prove yourself every time you go out there.
Yeah.
I've done. Matter of fact, one of the things that I like best that Kane ever said is we were doing a movie and on the battleship North Carolina, and there was one scene where Kane was directing this thing. He was just directing the last day for all the action, and the hallways are not very far apart, right? Mm-hmm. And there's one of the scenes is the bad guy's supposed to grab this guy. Actually, it's Goldberg, and he's taking one of the bad guys and he's throwing him over here and smashing him over here against the walls to kill him. And they go out there and they're practicing. And Kane walks by and the guy's going. He goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, isn't that what we're going to do?" And he goes, "No, that's not what we're going to do." And he grabs the guy and he goes, "Bam, bam, 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 bam." That's what we're going to do. And he walked away. So then right after that, I had a thing where I get shot in the face. I spin around, fall. This arm goes into one of those great big things they use to swab the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the water all flips over and I go fall. And unfortunately, because I had my arm in here when I fell, all my weight hit in my rib cage into the steel deck, which just felt lovely. But I did it twice. And when I come back, the North Carolina and Atlanta stunt guys are sitting there and they go, "Do you guys always hit things that hard?" And Kane's walking by and he goes, "You're supposed to."
That's the idea, isn't it? That's
realistic.
I got to tell you, Kane and I have kind of, because we're a lot alike. That's why we're friends. But if they tell you, smash into that wall and the wall's still up after we hit it, we're pissed off. It's like, let me do it again. So
I bet you've had some injuries then, like being a stuntman. I bet you've got injured hundreds of times.
Well, you know what? It's okay to get hurt.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get injured.
Yeah.
Now, I've been hurt a lot. Like many times, you get it really, like when I fell on my rib cage, that hurt probably for 2 to 3 months. Because I did it twice and there was nothing to do but take the fall. But yeah, I mean, you just, getting hurt is okay. Getting injured is not. I mean, we did a movie called Dark Wolf. Mm-hmm. Which was a werewolf movie. Kane was the human part. I was the wolf part. Of course, he was the one that he got to be out of the costume.
Yeah. They stuck you in the hot one.
And dirty rat, just because you're famous, you get the good spot. But anyway, there's a scene in there where I come running out and jump on the hood of a car. Car goes taking off backwards, going about 20, maybe a little faster. And it does this, when it's zipping along, and then it spins real quick and just launches me into these 55-gallon drums. The oil drums?
Yeah.
And they are too thick, like too deep, and two on top of each other. So 2 giant rows. And I go flying off of there. And when he snaps the car around, it makes me go even faster. And I go in head first and shoulder first, and I hit these barrels. And I go flying into the barrels, all fly around like bowling pins. And I'm trying to figure out where I am. And they go, bam, and they knock me this way. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to land. And boom, they're knocking me this way. One of them comes up, and the edge of the barrel goes whap and hits me in the ear. Right. And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Right. And then finally, the last one hits me. And here's the best way to show you. I've got my bottle here, or my cup here.
Hooray,
I got flipped over in the air, and this is the top of the barrel. And my lower back went boom right on the floor and flipped me up in the air onto my face out on the ground. And they didn't want to see because they were going to have the car go flying by, and they didn't want to know where the wolf went. So as soon as I hit the ground, I rolled out a camera, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, okay, that hurt. And I'm laying there on the ground, and another one of my best friends, Richard Friedman, was the director. And everybody, first off, one thing I got to tell you, when you go out to do a stunt and all the crew and all the actors come out to watch, they think you're going to get hurt. You know, they want to be there when the big smashola comes along.
Yeah.
There's a girl named Andrea Bogart who was one of the leads, and I'm coming out in my werewolf suit, and I'm getting ready to get on the car, and she goes, "Oh, Rick, I'm so scared. Are you going to get hurt?" And I went, "Yeah."
Already there.
Goes, "How bad?" And I jumped up on the hood, and I turned around, and I said to her, "I'll let you know in a minute." But I mean, that thing knocked the hell out of me. I got hit from every barrel, landed. When I landed on my lower back, I mean, that hurt, right? You know, can you imagine going, you know, boom, and then flying off that? But anyway,
my back can't.
Yeah. I'm laying on the ground, and my friend Robert Pendergraft, who's a member of Hollywood Ghost Hunters, one of the best special effects guys around, he comes over and he's taking the helmet and mask off real carefully. And everybody's crowded around, and they go, "Ooh," his blood's coming out of my ear like this. And they're like, "Oh, he's got a brain injury," right? And I just went, "It's a cut in my ear. It's okay." So Richard comes over and he goes, "Are you okay?" Right? And I said, "Well, I'm up to my waist. So far, so good." Right? So I'm just taking inventory. Right? And he goes, "Well, what can I do to help you?" I say those three little words I want to hear. Richard goes, "What three little words?" I went, "Perfect, moving on." Now, in moving on was we got the shot. Let's go to the next one. So
Yeah.
so Richard turns around and goes, "Perfect, moving on."
Definitely don't want to be doing that again. Jesus.
Now, just to show you how movies go, the werewolf in some scenes is four-legged, which means I had a 1.5 roughly piece of wood with a handle on it. So I had to get down and I had to use my upper body and things like that. The very next scene is I'm jumping off a table onto all fours. After I just did that with my back, I land like that was more like the werewolf than the werewolf did, because I didn't want to be going. I didn't want to be going. So I might as well go with something better. So yeah, there's times you get injured. There's times you get hurt. You know, you want to avoid the injuries, because when you get injured, you're not working the next day.
Yeah. I suppose that's a career almost as well. Like if you get a serious injury, that's you done.
Your insurance premiums must be through the roof.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to pay insurance when you're on the movie set. They pay it.
Oh, that's even better then.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Jeez.
And I'll tell you the secret of stunt business. Most of it, not when you're going off into barrels and stuff. You want to go once, but mostly that we have a thing called the stunt adjustment, where you get more money for each time you do something. Like say a stair fall, and they might give you $500-600 for a stair fall. So you might be able to do it perfect every single time, but you want to do it almost perfect, right? Yeah. And the director go, "Oh, that was so close. Can you do it again?" Yeah. "All right, I got it this time." And you do it perfect. They're like, "Yay!" And you're like,
$1,000 for falling down the stairs.
Laughing all the way to the bank. I love it.
Seriously.
Yeah, there are times when things go funny. There was one where a guy was a world-class high diver, and he was supposed to go through, you know, in this one thing where he's in like a building or something, and he's supposed to fall from the top. Mm-hmm. And the stunt guy's up on top, and he says, "Okay, we've measured everything. You cannot hit anything, right?" They said, "You know, you got like 20 feet in the direction. All you have to do is make a dive down there, right?" Well, they said, and this is a big movie. All right, camera and action. Okay, go. Right? They go, right? And he turns in, he goes, what happened? And he goes, well, no, I'm just getting my sight lines. He goes, you get your sight lines before he says action. Right? When he says action, you go. He says, are you ready? He goes, now this guy's a world-class high diver. It's nothing he can't do with his eyes closed. And he's up there again, and he goes, all right, ready? And he goes, yeah. And they go, all right, rolling action. But right now they're getting mad at the stunt guy, right? The coordinator. Well, he wasn't coordinating. He was the coordinator was down below, I think. But he goes like this. He goes, we got it this time for sure. He says, the guy goes, okay, rolling action. Boom.
It just pushes him. That's great.
He just blasted him right out. Bam.
Rick, Jeff wants to know, have you done any work with fire?
No, I haven't. And you know why? Because
you're friends with Kane.
Kane's the best burn guy in the business. Although I have had where he doubled me in a big fire burn. On the movie Children of the Corn 5, I was playing the fire chief. And if you've ever seen it, they have a silo that's some sort of weirdness about it.
Yes.
And I climb up the outside of it, and I've got this big, heavy fire hose, and I'm climbing up this really high tower. And I get up there, and I go over, and I open up the two things, and the big comes out and just blasts me on fire. Well, they had made a thing about 10 feet high that looked the same with the doors and everything else. And Kane come out to do the fire stuff, right? So I was below him with the fire extinguisher. Chuck Pacherny was on down there with another fire extinguisher, and we had a mat for him to fall into. And if you ever get a chance to see this movie, because it's the most hellacious looking fire stunt I've ever seen, because the doors open up and Kane vanishes. It just goes, whoosh, giant ball of fire, right? And then you see kind of the movement in it. He's trying, and he goes. Kane always pushes everything he does. Kane is not like Kane and Tina Turner are exactly alike, right?
Sorry, that's Mama's dog.
Gizzy.
Hi, puppy. But anyway, Kane's like Tina Turner. He doesn't do anything nice and easy, right? So he's really milking it to make it look good. And then he comes over, and I'm underneath there with the thing. I'm following him along, making sure he doesn't fall off. And finally goes over and he falls, and we're all over him. We put him out. But he doesn't do anything nice and easy. And when it comes to fire, why come to me when you can go to him?
Yeah, that's true. And like Jeff points out, Kane can also vomit on command.
Oh, he can. I've seen it many a time.
More times. You're like, oh yeah, that's parlor tricks for him.
And Jeff, that's not a parlor trick. You can sit there and just walk through and say, you can throw up on command, and you go, blah. I mean, I've seen him do it over and over and over again. I really wish he'd kind of stop.
It's like, Kane, we're out in public. And Rick, to when you said everybody wants to be Kane's friend, from myself, I'd like to meet Kane, but I'd rather be friends with like you. You know what I mean? You're just, I
because I'm not likely to kill you. So
no, I mean, it's not that. It's look, and granted, I never met Kane, but I mean, it seems like,
you know what?
I don't know. You guys both. I feel like I'm a big. I hate to use the word underdog, but like you even said yourself, you kind of fly under the radar a lot, and not a lot of people know who you are, which sucks. You know what I mean?
No, I did that on purpose. I doubled Kane in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I never told anybody. Right? Because I think, matter of fact, somebody once said, "Yeah, and you played the Victor Crowley character." I said, "No, I didn't."
No, you didn't. You got your nuts. Hung from the tree.
Well, no, I'm in it in like 4 different places as Victor Crowley. Right?
Oh, are you really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, the very first scene that you see is, remember, Kane's chopping through the thing and hits Victor in the face. He can't be on both sides of the door, my friend.
That's okay. Good point. That's a really good point.
So, but I'm in it.
That
all
was
over.
my favorite role of yours, was when you got the strong silent type, and I think you had a couple of lines in the movie, but then you get vivisected, and then you get your nuts hung from the tree, and that's one of the lines that most people remember from that movie. It's like, that's a pair of balls, and they're hanging from the tree.
Well, I didn't have any words that I spoke in it, but the thing that came across was me and Colton are out in the woods, and you hear the big giant chainsaw start up. And
that thing was huge. The bar on that was gigantic.
Well, it was 8 feet long. It was special made for it. And I'm looking this direction, and I hear it, and I turn to Colton, and I go. but I never actually say anything out loud. So that was my word. What was funny, when you have the read through before the movie, everybody sits there and they read their lines and stuff. And they get to me, and I went.
That's easy for you, yeah. You don't have to say anything.
They looked at me, and I went.
Do you think that was because Adam Green didn't want to pay you for a speaking part?
It really doesn't matter. But what I've always said, I think Kane and Pat and Adam ganged up to shut me up for a while. Adam, by the way, is a very cool dude. He's a great guy.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Well, you know what's so funny? When he gets a shot that he really likes, he'll jump up and down. Yeah, son of a bitch! And it's so cool like that. Most of the directors are like, "Yeah, it's moving on." It's like, come on. I'd much rather hang out with Adam.
Now,
actually, by the way, gave me one of the best compliments ever. Because like I doubled Kane a lot in the Hatchets, and never told anybody. Nobody knew it until Kane kept yelling at me. You got to tell people you double me and stuff. He kept yelling at me. He's like, all right, I'll tell people. But he got like on his back. They used the new glue, and it really had a bad reaction. And I was out there in the morning, and I was getting some breakfast, and Adam and Robert were standing there, and Adam goes, "Hey, Rick, Kane had a real bad reaction on his back. He's trying to get here." I said, "Well, if he says he's trying to get here, he'll be here." And he goes, "Well, I got to ask you." He says, "You might have to get into the Crowley suit." I said, "Okay." And then he looks at me and he goes, "You know why I like you?" I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're not going to pull a Ken Kersinger on Kane." Right now, if anybody knows Ken Kersinger, he's the guy who took over for Kane.
Yeah.
Now, Rick, you've obviously changing away from a bit from horror a little bit, but you've wrote your books, your paranormal books, because you're massive into the paranormal. Now, I've read your first one, Ghost Believe Me, fantastic book. I highly recommend anybody that read it. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's some really interesting. The one thing that really stuck out for me was the time, I believe. I only remember it vaguely because I did read it a while ago. But the time with the punch bag, the punch bag being hit. Now, if you want to tell the guys about that, because I thought that was incredible.
That was down in Texas, and it's actually in the chapter called the Most Haunted House in America, and it's not even close. That's the title of the chapter.
Yeah,
and it was down in Texas. It's my dad's house, and this was the most freaky haunted house I've ever been in. And it was one of them kind of things that kept making the music sound. Just like that sound right there. But anyway, the house was shaped like an H, and my brother was sleeping in the living room. My dad and my stepmother were over there, and I was on the other end of the house. And in the garage, we had a heavy bag and a speed bag, right? So I could go and work out. My brother's in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame because he was the world heavyweight kickboxing champion. He was 13th in the world as a boxer. So we would use this stuff, to work out.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 a.m, and I hear boom, 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 boom. And I'm going, my father's going to kick my brother's ass. The garage is right next to his room, right? So I get up to go tell him to knock it off because he was probably 14 at the time, right? And I get up, and he's standing in the living room walking towards me. He goes, "There's somebody in the garage," right? So it wasn't him. So we started walking over there, and we hear boom, 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 boom on the heavy bag. So I think it might be my old man had a drink or two, and he's in there, right? Right then, my dad and stepmother walk out. Right, my dad's got a gun in his hand, and we had a 180, 190 pound Great Dane. And the old man goes, "Get the dog," right? So there was 2 entrances. There was one from inside the house, which was next to his bedroom, right? And then there was another one right outside the sliding glass door that you could come in. So he says, "You come in, from that side with the dog, and I'll come in from this side. So now as you walk in, the first thing you see on to the right up by your head is the speed bag. And then in the middle of the room is the heavy bag. So we go. We both, all of us go in there. And we're standing there. There's nobody in there. And then we hear pop. And we look at the bag. This is perfect. There's the bag. And it's going.
Choose the knife.
Like this. Every time you hit it. And then it would go. You'd hear the hit. It would go. And it would go backwards. It wouldn't go all the way through. So you could tell something was stopping it and hitting it. So it'd be like, pow, pow, pow,
Wow.
pow. Right? So we're like, all right, now this is a little weird, right? So we said, all right, let him play. Let's go. So we start to go out the door, and I'm the last one out. And just as I go by, the speed bag right behind me, it goes, like somebody punched it right behind my head. And I just turned around and was like, so we closed the door. The old man just whispered to me, goes, let the dog stay in the house. My old man was not afraid of anything. He wasn't afraid of Godzilla. But that's when you actually are seeing an 80-pound heavy bag being bounced around with nobody there.
Oh yeah, that's no joke, man. Those things, I mean, that's ridiculous.
I really want to go back to that house. I really do. But there's a guy that's in his 80s who had lost his wife. I've never talked to him. Somebody else talked to one of the neighbors for me. Mm-hmm. And I just don't want to go back there and, bring it up to him.
You want him to, if he's not had anything, you don't want to stir anything up, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, especially if he's an older guy by himself and he starts hearing noises. So
did you ever find out what it was then, or who it was, or?
Yeah, we kind of did actually. There was a guy that we met. We used to do these exhibit shows, and he had an exhibit in our show, and we were talking about ghosts just off the top. This is before I ever started my ghost hunting group, and I was ghost hunting at the time. And I said, he said, yeah. He says, if I could get some sleep, he says, my place is long. I said, me, I'm like, really?
Really?
Can I come over?
At least stop wringing your hands.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. But anyway, so, he starts telling me the story. He had this mansion, and it had hidden rooms and walkways in it. And it actually been a place where these gangsters from back in the old gangster Bonnie and Clyde days, they weren't related to Bonnie and Clyde, but it's the same period. And these people are not very nice. And every time the cops would go to try to catch them, they couldn't find them because they had these secret places in the house. Well, finally, one day, these guys were getting a little too out of hand. And as they came back, the townspeople saw them and chased them and ran them up onto this hill and hung them. Right? And there was 3 of them. Well, lo and behold, we find out that the 3 of them had been from his house, and they were hung in our backyard. So they were kind of connected. So he would say, he told my evil stepmother, who, by the way, I like a lot. That's how
I was like, geez.
My evil stepmother. Matter of fact, I even actually started cards on Evil Stepmother Day.
Does Hallmark make those? That's amazing.
But the really cool thing is, my stepmother would see 3 transparent things walking through the living room and then back out through the windows, back towards where these guys were hung. And we told him about that, and he says, well, I see the 3 of them leaving my place. I said, call us when they leave. So he called, and we're sitting there, and he goes, yeah, they're leaving. Here they come to the living room. So
that's crazy, man.
Yeah. The freaking nuts, like.
And you know what? I'm convinced everybody thinks I'm lying through my teeth because there's just been so many weird things happen to me. I have to tell you the best one of all time, though.
Yeah, definitely, please. A
friend of mine at Balgony Castle in Scotland. When the Scottish paranormal guys took me out there for the first time, there was a guy in his 80s who was the laird of the castle. And if you ever wanted to go to central casting, this was the guy you would go to get a laird because he had the long hair, the long beard, the kilt, and the Irish wolfhound that went everywhere with him. I mean, he was the perfect laird. And I had just fallen in the woods and really tore up my knee, so I had a real bad limp. So all the Scottish Paranormal guys were getting stuff, and I was standing there and I was talking to Blair. And for some reason, I got a feeling that I knew him from another life. And and I've never had that feeling, right? I just had a feeling there was a connection. And he felt it too, because we were instantly best friends, and he's telling me all this stuff, and it was all fascinating, right? It wasn't about ghost hunting, it was just about everything that he had done. And he was a real big craftsman. He carved all 31 of the doors in his castle on both sides, where he carved the things. And then he says to me, he goes, "Can you get up 3 flights of stairs with that leg?" And I said, "You got a handrail?" He goes, "Yes." "Yeah, I can do it." So we start going up there, and he says, "I'm going to show you my private residence," right? So we're going up the stairs, and Gregor and Ryan from Scottish Paranormal, and they're the in-house ghost hunting group. They know him very well, right?
Yeah. And
I can't remember which one of them, but one of them whispered, he goes, "He's never taken us up there," right? So we just had some kind of real instant bond. But we went up there, and one of the most amazing things, and it's in the book if you look in there.
Yeah, when you speak about it, I remember, yeah.
He painted all 31 of the former Laird's crests into his ceiling. You go in there, and it's, the gigantic granite fireplace with the big overstuffed chairs and all these things. You couldn't find more Scottish castle than this, right? But as I was leaving, he goes, "Rick, come here." So I went over and I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can you keep a secret?" I said, "Yeah." So he tells me something. I'm like, "What?" Right? And he goes, "Yeah." And I had told him earlier in that, I said, I see a lot of the Knights Templar stuff in here. There's all the Knights Templar swords. There's the Knights Templar flags. You can see that also in the pictures in the book.
Yeah.
And he told me something. I was like, wow. So I promised I wouldn't tell anybody. So when I came back the next time, the guys who had pretty much started Ghost Hunters came with me and some of my friends to do a live stream ghost hunt from Dalgony. And we did that. And at the very end, we went back, and Laird had gotten worse. And he was in a hospital bed. He couldn't get up to his place anymore. He's on the first floor. And we went down there, and we were all talking. And I thought he didn't remember me because it'd been a couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah.
And but he was as sharp as ever mentally.
It's Mama's bird.
It's
Can we
Mama's
like
bird.
get Mama or something?
For a minute, I thought it was Carrie.
Carrie's just whistling away. No,
Carrie's whistling away.
Mama's bird has a habit of giving us a theme tune throughout the show. So.
But what was so cool, we're all there in a row, and he's talking to each one, and then he looks up and he sees me, and he grabs my hand, he pulls me down, he starts whispering stuff into my ear, and I'm talking to him, and I stand up and I go, "Yeah, I gotta go outside, there's a lot of dust in here." I didn't fool anybody. And I gave it a shot. But anyway, I was coming back 1 week later because I was the celebrity guest for this ghost hunt. I guess there are no other people that have ever been on a TV show in Scotland. So I was like it, But anyway, I go back, and like 1 a.m, me and Gregor go back there. Everybody else is left. And we're all talking, and I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and we both know this is it. We're not going to see each other again, right? So he calls me over and he goes, "Did you tell anybody my secret?" I said, "No, but I sure as hell wanted to." He goes, "Good, because I only told you half." And then he told me the other half, and I go, "You son of a bitch, you can't tell me this kind of stuff. And tell me I can't tell anybody." So anyway, he passed away about a month or so later. And I still didn't tell anybody, but they alluded to what he told me in his obituary. Yeah. And what he told me the first time was that there were real Knights Templar in America. A couple hundred of them, matter of fact. And I said, and being the nice, sweet guy, I said, "How do you know that?" Right? He looks at me and goes, "Because I'm in charge of them."
That's fucking crazy, man.
I'm like, wow. And then the last thing he told me, he goes, this might be our last time and stuff. He said, "So I'm going to tell you this. They're all over." And so he goes, "And I'm in charge of all of them." Now, if you get the magnitude of what he just told me, I mean, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But here's not the best part of the story. When we go back for this ghost hunt with the Americans, and Kat Hobson from Fate Magazine's with me, she's in the room, you know, and we're in this one room I'd never ghost hunted before. It was the museum room right next to his woodworking place. Now, follow along. I know it's a long story, but this is really something. We had millimeters. We had K2, you know, 3 K2 meters. We had REM pods. We had everything you could have that could go off, right, around the room. The room wasn't that big. It was maybe 15 by 15.
Yeah.
And we had like 6 or 8 people that had come in. Do you need some help there, Hefty? It looks like you're under attack.
No. If I need help, I'll blink twice. Thank you. I'll 2 shakes. Continue, Rick, please. I've heard the story. I love it, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. I'll be right back.
But anyway,
Call Kane. Call Kane.
we're inside this thing, and we sit down, and I'm explaining to the guests who we are and, you know, what we have out there. And then I said, are there any spirits here? And I've done this for over 50 years. Kat's done, you know, we have some real ghost hunters with us. Every single piece of ghost hunting equipment went off at the same time, all around the room, full speed. Boom! It was like an explosion, right? And even Kat says, and her thing, she goes, I turned around, looked at the REM pod, it looked like fireworks. She goes, it was amazing. Everything was going off. All 3 of the K2 meters locked on 5. I had to turn it off. I kept saying, I'm trying to talk to you. I can't get answers if it's locked, right? Well, everything locked up, right? And finally, I'm just sitting there, and I went, and I noticed Kat's looking at me, Lori's looking at me, you know, Mikey's looking at me, and they all know how close I was with the Laird, right?
Yeah.
And they're looking at me, and then finally I went, holy shit, it's the Laird, right? And the stuff's all going off, and I was like, wow, right? So then after that group, and you know, it all shuts down after I get smart enough to figure out what it is. A little slow on the uptake sometimes. Everybody was just astounded. And I mean, I just wrote a thing for Fate Magazine, and Kat put in her version of what she saw, and it was just like, we have never seen something like that. It was so obvious the Laird was saying goodbye to Rick. I mean, it was amazing, and never had anything like that ever happen to me. It was about cried on my way home, but yeah, that was really, really something.
You can almost tell when things happen that when they're like personal. You get a feeling out of when you get those situations. You kind of know that it's more of a personal thing rather than just a random paranormal event.
Well, you know, the interesting thing too was we had 3 more groups because each group came in for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing went off the other 3 times. So I mean, it was, you know, we got a couple little K2 stuff, you know, general stuff you might get in the castle. But I mean, it was just like an explosion. We're sitting, and all of a sudden, just boom, everything went off. I'm like, what the hell? Every single piece of equipment at the same time.
We barely get anything in our K2, do we? Like, we use our K2. We barely get anything at all. Like, it's one of our worst things that we use for, isn't it?
Well, you know what? Everybody teases me. I mean, actually, several people have called me this, and I don't say it for my sake, but I mean, they say, he goes, oh, here comes the king of the K2.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the K2 meter to go off all the time. You guys know Bannockburn House. I was there with 2 other people, or 2 other ghost hunters, and then there was other people, and we each had K2 meters. And I'm standing there, mine's going off 5 lights to my answers. And the other 2 people are standing right next to me, and nothing's going on. They're not getting anything, right? I said, let's try this. Put yours underneath, and then the other one underneath it, right? And they did, and I went over mine. I said, all right, let's show off a little bit. Light them all up. And all 3 of them went 5 lights, and these people just went.
Rick,
I was like, why wasn't somebody filming this?
Did you tell the story yet about when you rested? Forgive me, because I was gone for a minute. I don't know if did you tell the story for when you rested on that one particular grave?
Oh God, yeah, no, I hadn't. But it was the very next night after Dalgoni thing. We had gone to Inverness, not Inverary, Inverness, And we've been walking all day. Now I need 2 knee replacements. Okay, and I've walked 9 miles so far that day, and my knees were killing me, right?
Yeah, I bet.
And I had been all through this cemetery we're in, this graveyard, and not a blip on the K2, not even a single little dink, right? So I walked over and I'm looking for a chair or a rock or, you know, a bench or something to sit down on. I mean, I just can't walk any farther. And I looked down, I happened to be standing next to a tombstone that is built like a bench,
Mhm.
right? And I can't go any farther, and I'm going to go, right? So I just looked down, I said, I mean, no disrespect, but I can't walk any farther, right? I said, I just need to sit down for a minute or something. I sit down, and there was a girl with me who I didn't know. She was with the other group. I sit down, and instantly, all 5 lights. Instantly, the instant I touched the thing. So I said, did you just tell me to get off? Bam, 5 lights again. And I said, I meant no disrespect. I said, my knee's real sore. Do you mind if I sit here for like 30 seconds? And it goes like 3 lights and just glimmers for a couple seconds. So I sit there for like 15 seconds and bam, 5 lights again. I said, are you telling me to get off? Bam, 5 lights. I said, if you do it again right now, I'll get up. Bam. Okay. I'm out.
Come on, we got some. That's one of my favorite stories. I love
Oh,
that.
the girl was just looking like going, holy crap. And I was like, I have never had anything that was so obviously the person in the grave
Yeah.
telling me to get my fat ass off his gravestone. And if I go back there, I will try and talk to him again, but I won't sit on his gravestone.
You don't, yeah. He might be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you, Rick. I didn't know you were Hollywood Ghost Hunters, Rick."
Yeah.
Like, wait, weren't you in Hatchet?
I was in all 4 Hatchets, believe it or not.
I know you are.
A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't
Amy's
know
watched that shit. You like that, didn't you?
I've only watched 1.
You did.
I watched the first one, but I didn't know there was 4. Now I got stuff to watch after the show.
I got all of them. Which, Rick, I would love to send you my copy of it if you would sign it. That would be amazing.
Well,
We'll talk after the show. I'll give you a ring or something. But
I wear size 15.
15? Oh, okay. Ooh, Rick. I mean, you could do way better. I could do a lot worse. But I did have a quick question because I know we've spoken a bunch.
By the way, I do have my eye on someone now.
We just talked about this, Rick. I know we're a thing now.
I mean, I think you might get the hint.
Oh, yes. The curtains. You know the curtains? Well, I hope you have. Seems a little.
Maybe a girl with a stick.
Yeah. Oh, Rick, you dog. Hell yeah. I did want to ask, because I've been wondering about this since the game came out. I was a huge fan of Friday the 13th, the video game. I played it, from when we melted the servers for day one. And I know you stunt coordinated that. Was there a huge difference between doing it on the screen and doing it for like the video game purposes with the motion capture technology? Was it a little bit easier? Because you could get away with more stuff that you would have a lot of problems doing with on like a practical movie set, as opposed to, they were all very talented stuntmen and women that were on it. But you could, I think you had a certain level of protection more than you would on a movie set where like you had the mats, but the mats would be replaced with the ground or like trees and stuff later and like weapons. What was it? Was it more difficult? Was it easier?
It was actually easier for the game. And one of the reasons is when you're doing actual fight scenes, you have to make sure that the angle is right or it doesn't read as a hit, right? So, getting the angle just right in the where you want the punch to go just right, that's the hard part. Well, when you have 100 cameras in the ceiling, you always have a hit somewhere of all those cameras.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes it really much easier. There was one part, which I'll just give you the idea, where Kane picks somebody up and just hammers the girl's head into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "How are we going to do that?" I said, "That's pretty easy." And the experts with this stuff. And I just looked over and said, "I don't have the balls on. You're not going to see me, are you?" On the computer. They said, "No." So they said, okay, action. So Kane grabs her by one side, I grab her from the other, right? Now we put the crash pads out so that they were here, so her shoulders would hit the crash pads and her head could go in between the two,
That's
right?
so cool.
And I was there to hold her so she didn't go too deep, right? So Kane lifts her up, we go, and her head goes into the ground, right?
That's so awesome.
That's
Yeah, the fact is,
cool.
when you can go in, you can actually pick up the actor and stuff. You know, my favorite kill in that was there was a scene, most of the kills were, from the original movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who set them all up, Tom
Savini. Yeah.
Tom Savini had set up some remarkable stuff.
Yeah.
But they needed more things, right?
Yep.
And there was one scene where the guy's on the ground, and they said, well, how do we get this guy up, because we want to cut his head off, and he's laying flat. And he says, it'll just look stupid if we just go over and chop his head off. So I said, all right, I walked over to Kane. Kane goes, okay, I like it. So we told Ryan, who was the stunt guy, and he's laying there, and Kane comes up. Now, nice thing is you don't have to use the real weapons. You just have to use something that's close to the right size that they have that they can mark. So he comes along. I think he just had like a big foam piece of foam or something.
Yeah, it looked like almost like a pool noodle.
Yeah,
Or something like that. Yeah.
almost. Not quite that big, but
Fair enough.
but he comes over and he hits the guy right in the balls with the thing. Whap! Right? And you know what the guy does? Oh, and he sits up immediately, right? And then the guy goes, yeah, now cut his head off. I said, no. Follow me on this, right? So I told Kane, and Kane goes, oh, I love this, right? So they go back and they're all watching. They go, action. And he goes, whap. And the guy sits up there, and Kane's in front of him, and he's got the thing, and he's holding it. He looks at the guy, and he walks by, and he's staring at him. He keeps walking, and he turns around from behind. He goes, whap, and knocks his head off.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you think he's giving him a break as he walks
Yep.
by.
No.
And the other one that we did that was really cool, there's one where he grabs the guy and he, gives him the forehead, bam, right in the head. And then the guy starts to drop and he goes, boom, and the guy drops to the ground, right? And they go, that's great. I said, Kane, you want that to look better? And he goes, yeah. So I told him, he goes, all right, we're going to do it again, right? So Kane's all for anything that makes it look better. I mean, who wouldn't, right? So this guy got hit twice and he went down. So this time we do exactly the same thing. Kane goes, bam, bam, and the guy drops to his knees and he's just kind of like this, right? And Kane stands there for a second and the guy's dead, right? And Kane reaches down, he grabs him, he picks him up and goes, bam, and does it again, and he drops and he walks away. So yeah, doing the Friday the 13th game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I want to give a shout out to my my little sweetheart Honey, who is watching right now. What's up, Honey? How you doing? She is an 8-year-old with a giant crush on yours truly.
Oh,
yeah. She's a cutie. So yeah. I love your stories, Rick. Yeah, I can listen to you. There's two people that I can listen to all day. And that's you and Simon Entwistle. If you don't know who Simon Entwistle is, he's another one of our favorite guests. Like you guys are our favorite two guests. He does a lot of ghost tours and stuff like that. He has a couple books too. And he's just a very you guys are amazing storytellers. Yeah, both of you guys. You know what I mean? And it's great because one of my favorite things is I have the privilege of talking with you just even off the show too, which I'm very grateful for. And I love it because I know every time that I give you a ring, I'm in for a story and I'm ready for it. And awesome. I'm ready for it. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, what's Rick got for me today?
I mean, I only have about 500 of them.
Well, Marty had a good point when he said earlier about, and he said, I think it's your energy that draws spirits to engage with you. Your energy, you've got such amazing energy when we listen to you talk, and it's crazy.
I've actually had so many psychics tell me that.
Ooh, Jeff's got to go.
That I'll be with them. They say, and I tell them, I explain something to them, and I don't try to be the big mentor of ghost hunting, but I've been around a long time.
Yeah,
and I've learned some stuff, and babies and dogs will come to you. They read your energy.
Yeah.
ghosts are the same. If you have that, sure, come, come to me. They do.
Is this true, Carrie? Does Rick have good energy? You're good with this. This is kind of like your wheelhouse. Does Rick have good energy?
Well, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, what Rick's saying.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But I do think that they can, like, people can read auras. I think ghosts can also read auras. And if you have a like energy, something similar to them, or something they see that's not threatening, then they actually come to you. And I've had people see like the K2 meter just going crazy and answering me, and they go, "How do you do that?" I said, "I don't. They do."
That's fair.
Yeah.
Jeff wants to know, and look at this, Mr. Rick. Look at that, Mr. Rick. What was the most scary stunt you've done? Anything that made you rethink doing it?
Well, if they were going to tell me to do it again, I'd say stick it in your ear. We were doing a movie called Project Metal Beast, and I was doubling Barry Bostwick, and Kane was the stunt coordinator, and he was also the metal werewolf. Right?
That's cool.
And the scene was, Barry Bostwick is the one who created this metal werewolf, and it turns on him, and he's talking to it, and then the werewolf goes, whap, and hits him, and he just goes flying. So Kane tells me, he goes, "All right, what are we going to do?" Right? Because when you're going to do something like that, a lot of times the stunt coordinator will ask you what you can do, before saying, "Can you do a triple flip and a face plant into this?" But I said, "Yeah, I got an idea." He says, "What's that?" I said, "I brought the mini tramp with me. I'm going to put it back about 12 feet. I said, I'm going to run at a full sprint, go up in the air, upside down. And there was this huge metal door, because it was actually an industrial door, one of those slide down doors.
Yeah. And
I had run and hit it with my shoulder, and it kicked me back about 4 feet. So I said, well, if I hit this door real hard, it's going to kick me back, and I can land on my elbows and knees, and then, I'll be fine. Right? So, because we do wear, like, roller blading pads underneath that.
Yeah.
And so Kane's talking to these two kids, and he says, "Wait a minute, what are you going to land in?" So they're going to land on the ground. He goes, "You're going to go all the way back there. You're going to run as fast as you can. Go up in the air. You're probably going to be at least 10 feet in the air." And I said, "Yeah." Right? He says, "You're going to hit a metal door, and you're going to land on the concrete." He said, "You don't want to land in boxes or anything, because I hate boxes." I said, "I know." I said, "I'm going to land on the ground." He looks at it, he goes, "Okay." So I go back there, and there's these two kids talking to him, and they say action. I do a full sprint, go up in the air, perfectly up, exactly hit where I wanted to, and the door went backwards. I hit it, boom, which took all the bounce out of it.
Yeah.
Which meant I went straight down and landed on the top of my head on the concrete.
Oh, Jesus.
Now it's probably about, after flying through the air and hitting the thing and going down, that's probably 2.5 feet off the ground. And you can see it, in the movie. And
if they didn't keep it, I'd be pissed. Like, what do you mean you didn't put that in the film?
Yeah, no, I landed right on my head. And I knew that the way I landed, I was facing the camera. So I spun as soon as I hit. Because you don't want them to see your face. They'll see it's not Barry Bostwick.
Yeah.
Right? So I spun the blade away from it. And they go, cut. Everybody runs up. "My God, are you okay?" And I got up and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Right? And somebody said to me, they said, "Did that hurt?" And I went, "Of course it hurt, you damn fool. I landed on my head on the concrete." Right? So then Kane looks at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And they had a big pile of busted metal pillars, right? And they said, "Okay, action." He turns around, he throws me into the pile through the pillars. I'm like, I graduated from college. I should have a better job than this.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that one, that was, even Kane to this day, I'll tell you, said, all the years of stunt business, I've never seen anybody hit anything harder than Rick hit that wall.
Damn.
Right? But if you go full sprint, I weighed 235 pounds at the time off a mini tramp.
Yeah.
Just blasted. And this was an industrial strength door. It was in a water plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you can even see it I have a still of it. You can see where the thing is bending.
Oh, that's great.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that one was the one I would definitely rethink.
Jesus, that's freaking crazy. I'm sure you put that in your book as well.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the picture's in there of me.
Yeah. I thought it rang a bell. But, guys, yeah, a lot of these stories as well are in Rick's book. The first I've read, especially, Ghosts Believe in Me. And
By the way, you know what? That book won the Paranormal Book of the Year award.
really,
Yeah.
I can see why. I can certainly see why. It's a very, very good book.
You know, it's so funny. I didn't know it. Nobody told me. I didn't know there was a contest. And I was on the show with some guy. He goes, "Congratulations on your book." Now, that's pretty much what they say when you write a book.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thank you." And they said, "Well, it's quite an award." And I went, "Huh?" And they went, "You won the Paranormal Book of the Year award." I said, "Ah, come on." I said, "Send me something." So the guy sends it to me and I went, "Holy crap."
Listen, they just they give awards and don't let their recipients know.
There you go. Yeah, that's the book
so
there.
cool.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
He's,
That's how, if guys,
he's promoting himself.
Advertising.
Should.
you guys can see even better for you. There you
Yeah,
go.
actually, number 2 is pretty good. This actually right here. By the way, if anybody's interested in ghost hunting in Ireland, I have a tour that's coming up in September next year.
Ooh.
And we're going to go to Lep Castle. We're going to go to the Hellfire Club, which that was right there. We're going to go to all these different places. And if you guys live somewhere close by, you don't have to pay all the airfare and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm totally close to Ireland.
Yeah, I could
You know, Capital Region, New York,
oh,
Ireland.
you're from New York. Fly over there. Dude.
If we can get there, Rick,
All I hear is Hollywood Ghost Hunters is ponying up the dough to send the
That's
stream
what I
ghost
heard.
hunting in Ireland.
Well,
You better tell RA and Kane.
yeah. I can't get them to go to the ice cream parlor with me, much less get them.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Shame on you,
You
Kane.
need to kick their ass.
Well, both of them would come to a street fight to help me out, but actually ask them to come over for dinner or something. Forget it.
That's good. Well, I think we're closer to RA than you are.
Yeah,
RA's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a
I
shame.
have him on the cover of one of my Fangorias too.
Do you?
Yeah, well, it's the one from when Texas 3 came out, and he's on it, and they did a whole. It's on the cover, and they did a whole few page expose or whatever report on it.
Expose.
Well, I do have to tell you though that I think it's the only time in horror movie history is when they pulled off the Leatherface mask and they saw RAs and went, "Oh, put it back down."
Yeah, put it back on. Well, it's funny. Like I said, a friend of the family knows. Well, it was my brother Jeff's friend Molly back in the day, back when my brother was in the army and he was traveling around a lot. Her family was real good friends with RA, and I used to have a picture with RA with this girl Molly that my brother had given me, which is how I knew his real name. And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." But he he seemed like a very, very nice guy, and I've seen him in interviews since, and he was in Hatchet as well. So I guess that's funny. All 3 of the Hollywood Ghost Hunters were in at least a couple of the Hatchets, which is neat.
Actually, you know what's even funnier?
Oh, Jeff still has that photo. Can you send that to me? Take a
No,
picture
listen.
and send that to me.
Listen to this. Kane is in Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Myself. Adam Green is a member.
Adam's a member?
Adam's a member. Danielle Harris is a member. Robert Pendergraft is a member.
Oh man, so you all were.
That's so cool.
I can't remember the guy's name now. The guy that got torn out of the boat, had his face torn off.
Not Josh. What's this? Oh God, this is gonna drive me nuts.
I'm getting old. This guy's a good friend of mine too. I can't think of his name.
I'm embarrassed as a horror fan, to be honest.
But he's a member. By the way, when he got thrown out of the boat,
Yeah,
wasn't him.
that was you. Yeah, there we go.
But he was a member. So we had like 7 or 8 members of Hollywood Ghost Hunters on the Hatchet things.
So
Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to go ghost hunting together for a long time. That's one of the reasons I go to Scotland all the time. I mean, none of us live in the same states anymore.
Yeah.
Like Robert's in Texas. I mean, it's everybody as you get older, you spread out a little.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys have got to get back together again soon and get some ghost hunting again. That'll be good.
If you ever do, and you guys want to come on the show, just saying.
Get you all on. That'd be fantastic. No.
That would be
I'll
amazing.
tell you the group that I go on with all the time, because I am a member of them, is Scottish Paranormal.
That's cool.
That's true. That's true.
So
I'll have to reach out to them, see if they want to come on some point. But we will, because we've come to our hour, but we will normally at this point in the show, at the end of the show, we normally do bless you.
Bless
Right?
you.
We normally have Amy sneezing. No, we normally do like questions off the internet and all this, or a game. But I thought we'd do some quick questions, some quick fire questions we could ask you, seeing as it's our opportunity to ask you things while you're on. So I've wrote.
This is my missing button.
Oh, you're most. So we've wrote down some questions here. Or I have, and Amy's put one on the end that I need to read. Ask you.
No.
Yes, put the knife down, Rick, please.
Yeah.
Put the knife down.
Questions for you to
I don't want to say that I like to be prepared.
Jeez.
Jesus, Rick, you expecting trouble?
You never know. He's in California. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is true. That is true, JJ. Flick knife and everything.
He's got one everywhere. I love it.
He's well
I
prepared.
don't have one. I can't. Well, I have
Wow.
Goldberg. Does that help? I got Goldberg. I
Kind
had a knife, but that's
JJ just shook at him.
I did a movie with Goldberg, by the way.
Yes, we were talking about which is funny because
Yeah.
JJ's a huge wrestling guy.
I am a huge wrestling guy.
And he's one of the nicest guys there is. Tyler Maine was in that movie too. He's a wrestler.
Yep. He was Glacier in WCW, if I'm not mistaken.
There we go. Now we've got some hatchets going.
We're ready to go. I don't
It's
have
like
any
a weapon show, this is.
Now I need to get
So yeah,
weapons.
we've got some quick fire questions just to
I win.
Rick. Jesus.
All right, you win, Rick.
I think
You win.
Right, Rick. I
You
think
win.
Except for one thing.
Then.
It's not a real gun.
I got one of those.
It's a prop
Yeah,
gun.
Nolan's got loads of guns.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have said that on air.
No, it's a
People are
prop
like,
gun. It's not real.
Maybe
Yes.
that's what
Oh,
you
right,
want
right,
them to
right.
think it's
Yes.
not real.
You're right. Prop guns. Right.
Yeah, that's it. It's not real.
Gotcha.
What's your questions?
All right, yeah. So we'll get.
All right, we're
these
getting
are
there.
the
Sorry,
quick
Karen.
fire questions that we'll do to end the show. What we got here? So
My one.
we'll do your one first. I'll do Amy's question first. Amy says, "What's the most you've ever been paid for one movie?"
It's a personal question. I do.
As a more, don't have to be exact or just like
No, I want exact. I want the whole thing.
you want exact.
Amy said,
I think it's probably about $11.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's hard to say because sometimes you're on a lot longer, sometimes you're on shorter. If you do a lot of stunts, you get more money. The movie that I actually made the most money on was because of all of overtime and stuff. They were trying to do something that couldn't be done. I was the only stunt man on the set for, when you go in, they have things called forced call. Okay.
Mhm.
That means if they don't give you 8 hours to go home and go to bed, they have to pay you another day's pay on top of that.
Shit.
Okay. So I came in and I was on a forced call. This was on Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Mhm.
And I came in on a forced call. And when I got there, they were filming everything else. And I was sitting in the back with all the food. There was nobody else back there. They were doing all pickup shots. So I'm back there. And there's this one pretty girl that's in charge of bringing me stuff and making me feel like a king, fanning me, giving me grapes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is terrible. But what happens is when they get to overtime and stunt adjustment, they add in your stunt adjustment, your 2 days pay, and then that's how your overtime comes. See, instead of being normal time, it would be because you've actually been there, to where you would normally be getting like $75, $80 an hour. You're now getting like $225 to $300 an hour.
Jeez.
Wow.
Is that a lot?
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're in the wrong gig here, guys.
Well,
We're in
then
the
it-
I
wrong
was just
gig.
thinking I should have been a stunt double. I love to fall off of stuff and jump off of things.
But
That
listen
would
to
be
this.
perfect for me.
If you're there longer again, then they have what's called golden time, which just is ridiculous on top of that. And I was there working 2 days, and I think that with the golden times and all that stuff, and adding in, the
Forced time.
the stunt adjustments and adding in the residuals,
Yeah.
probably close to 20,000.
Wow, not bad.
Is that a lot?
For a stunt guy, yeah. That's a lot.
Well, I mean, that sounds bad for a
When you
stunt
say
guy,
it that
but-
way, Tom, that's very insulting.
No, you know what I mean.
Still
You
an
know what I mean.
actor.
Because,
Take the harder bump.
you know what I mean, though, because the stunt guys, it's always the same. The stunt guys do all the hard work, and yet it's the actors that do all the lines that get
All right, I
all
get
the
what
play.
you're saying.
It's always the way. But yeah, so that's Amy's question. What else we got here? What's the one haunted location you'd want to visit in the world if you could visit? If you could pick one of the top ones you'd want to do, what would it be?
The one that's the Tower of London.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Oh, it's not that amazing.
It's not that great, by the way, but
You
you probably get
no,
it.
You guys
no,
rats.
The
Oh, but that
square's
was-
good. The square's good. The rest of it was.
that was one I always wanted to go to, but I'm sure that the most haunted place is someplace people don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the house that I lived in is more haunted than any place I've ever been.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
By the way, Bolton Priory is right up there, though. You get
Yeah.
a chance to get over there. It is haunted like to beat the band.
I'm sure we've seen that advertised on one of the because we have to go through companies to obviously visit these places because they book them out.
We're not famous,
But
unfortunately.
no, I'm sure they had one of those advertised as one of the locations.
Did they?
Yeah.
Mark,
what
you
else
have
we
a
got?
question.
Well,
Yeah.
the truth is too that most of the real haunted locations I've been to.
Oh,
All right, makes sense.
yeah.
Do you
yeah.
know Eric Samaxi by any chance, Rick?
Yeah. Mark asked,
I think
do
so.
you know Eric Samaxi?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There
There
we
you
go,
go, Marty. Now you look just as dumb. Now you look
Poor
stupid as
Marty's
ever,
so
Marty.
sad now.
Way to go, Marty. You fucked it up.
Well, no, I might. Or I just might not know his last name. I mean, I might know. You know.
He was an actor that played in a few Police Academy movies. He's a friend of mine. That's why he's asking. Okay,
Oh,
that's
no.
interesting.
I loved Police Academy. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Well, you know, there's only
I love
there's only
Police Academy too.
you know there's only 3 actors that are in this whole neighborhood. You know. I mean, I went to dinner last night, 2 nights ago with April, and Morgan Fairchild was there.
Oh, that's crazy cool.
So,
That's nuts.
Still got the beautiful chompers.
yeah, very, very pretty lady still.
Yeah, she was. Morgan Fairchild was always
What else we got?
Except her real name is Patsy McClenny, but that's another story.
We learned something.
What is your favorite movie to watch? Well, if you had to pick one movie, what that you could only watch, what was your favorite movie?
Hands down, easy. The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard
one,
of
yeah.
The Quiet Man.
I don't think I have either.
Oh, boy, it's
Quiet
the best
Man.
movie ever made.
Great movie.
All
And
right,
you
I'll
know-
have to go out and watch that then.
And you know what? They couldn't make it nowadays.
No.
Yeah, that's probably one of those, huh? That's
That
too
was,
bad.
that was a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie. Maureen O'Hara, John Wayne, they're magic together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they asked John Wayne about Maureen O'Hara, and they said, "What do you think about her?" And he goes, "Toughest guy I've ever met." I mean, they were perfect.
Sorry. Did you know Ted White?
Yeah, I met Ted. I don't really know him very well. Kane knows him pretty good. Some of my other golf buddies know him pretty well.
That's crazy.
But I had-
Because
I
he
had
doubled
that-
for Wayne in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Okay, so when we do a lot of shows, UK versus America. Okay, we always do this
Don't do
between.
it, Tom. Don't
No,
do
I'm not. No, no. It's
Do
not
it, do it,
It's
do
not
it.
that. But if you could pick between the UK and the USA, which would you say would be the better country?
You say obviously.
I know you're obviously going to be biased because you're. But well, no, if you could pick between
Shit.
Scotland, if you could pick between Scotland and America, which one would it be?
Scotland probably.
It'd have to be a tie.
Yeah.
Really?
Fair enough.
Big ties.
No, Scotland has so many wonderful things about it, and the most wonderful thing about it is the people.
Yeah.
Cool.
It really
Unless
is.
you're British, and then they hate the British. So.
And,
Yeah,
and us, we've got so much stuff going on that it's hard to beat this country. I mean, we've got 350 million people.
Yeah. That is
Who's
true.
your favorite co-host on the show?
Hefty.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
That
You're
is
the
That's
best.
right.
Your check's in the mail, Rick. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I mean, it would be real easy. It would be Carrie, Amy, Mama, and then the rest of you bums.
Yes, for the rest of the bums.
Hooray.
The bums, we're here for the bums.
I'm included in something. Hooray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the bums. Yeah.
Hey, hooray.
Exactly. I'm down. Like, shit, I'll be a bum.
All right. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for tonight. We could talk to you all night, Rick. Your
Seriously,
stories
this is
are
a
amazing. They
Thank you.
Well, you guys know me. I can turn hello into a mini series.
No, it's fantastic. And I just want to say once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come back onto our
Yes,
little
thank
show.
you, Rick.
That was
Hey,
awesome.
anytime, and be nice to my buddy Hefty.
Oh, we love everything.
No, we
Rick,
sure
you're
will
all
try.
right,
We love our hefty.
bud.
Hey,
Thanks,
when I
Rick.
come there, I want to go somewhere with guys.
Hell yeah.
Carrie, can I ask you a question before I go?
Me?
Yes.
No, the other
Yes.
You're full,
No,
Terry.
it sounded like Kerry, but I was like, me? Okay, yeah, go on then.
How many freaking Carries you got on this show?
Well, let's see.
Holy moly, I swear.
This guy sounds good. Hey, how you doing?
I find myself that I can do something now that is very bizarre. It is not something that I do on purpose. But I have this habit of popping up into places into Scotland, where all of a sudden I'll be standing in a store. I'll be out in Princess Street Gardens, and I can see everything moving around. And it lasts for like a minute, and then it's gone.
Okay.
And it happens quite a bit.
Like a past life.
So you are physically popping up in these places.
Yeah, it's places that I've been to, but it's not memory, because I'll sit there and I'll try and remember my house in Chicago. Nothing happens. I try to think of this place. I'll sit there and go, all right, let me think about Roslyn, and I'll end up being on Princess Street. You know, so it's not any place. It's not a memory. It's just all of a sudden, for some reason, I'm supposed to be seeing what's going on there. I can look in the store windows. It's really weird.
Yeah, there will be something behind that. Just go with it. You might be just like remembering a past life or something for some reason. There could be multiple reasons why that's happening for you.
Well, I really do believe that I'm buried somewhere in Scotland.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh.
So yeah, past life then.
Yeah, could have something to do with it, definitely.
Maybe that's why you love to go there so much. You're like drawn back into it all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
besides that, there's three Kings Malcolm, and the McCallums and the Malcolms are the same family.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
shit.
No shit. Okay.
That's cool.
So I'm related to three kings, and it never gets me in anywhere cheaper.
That's the UK for you. It doesn't get you in.
Trust me, I tried. Hey, come on, man, give me a break, will you?
Give me a break. How you doing? Hey, come on. Forget about it. Thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hope you guys in the chat you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I always enjoy it. So anytime you need me, here I am.
Hell yeah. Thanks,
All
Rick.
right.
You're the man.
Anytime, Rick. Thank you
my
so
friend,
much.
buddy.
But try not to make it when the beautiful redhead's visiting.
I'll do my best.
Our bad.
Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy
Hi,
your
guys.
weekend.
Thank you.
We love you all. Have a
Good
good
night,
one.
guys.
Catch you
See
later.
ya.
Guys.
Stay spooky.
Bye.